welcome everybody to another episode of the Sideline. My name is Rishi,
My name's Asher Hire.
and this is once again we've not been doing a lot of these episodes lately. We're doing a lot of streams, but with obviously the Nuggets season over, not much to stream about, so we're gonna do a legit episode today, and we're recording this Sunday night, pretty much right after the Celtics and Heat Game 7 after Boston won. So the NBA Finals are set. They're going to start Thursday. Boston versus Golden State. I think this was, out of the four teams remaining, this was probably the best possible matchup, because these are the two best teams left, and I think based on how they played in the postseason, these are the two best teams in the NBA remaining. Like, honestly, so I think this is the best possible scenario, best possible situation that we could have ended up with, especially considering how bad the conference finals were in terms of close games. I mean, the Celtics series had three close games. I think Game 3 was kind of close. Game 6 was close, and then Game 7 was close at the end. But even then, throughout most of the game, it wasn't close. I think the Golden State and Mavs series didn't have any close games. So it was just blowout after blowout after blowout. So I'm hoping that we're going to get
hopefully it like averages out a little bit and gives us close games.
Yeah. I mean, Golden State, they look pretty much unstoppable throughout this entire postseason run. Hardest series they played was Memphis. That went 6. And even then, that could have been a sweep because they should have won Game 2. So, like, it is, I don't know. Golden State looks unstoppable, but they also have not played a defense nearly as good as Boston's throughout their entire run. I know Dallas had a good defensive rating, and they are a good defensive team, but Boston legitimately is the best defensive team that I've ever seen, because when you look at their roster top to bottom, there's not a single negative defender out there. They can throw anybody out and have them make a positive difference defensively, especially with the starting 5. They have 5 legitimately elite defenders out there. So I think this will be an interesting matchup. I've seen a lot of people say Warriors in 5, and I'm like, this is going to go 6 or 7. And I don't know who's going to win, but it's going to be a good series, I have a feeling.
No, yeah, I agree. I completely agree. And yeah, I was happy with the result of the Celtics beating the Heat. Like, I just feel like the Heat, their offense just wouldn't be able to keep up with Golden State's offense whatsoever. And the Heat's defense is pretty good too, but it's not like the Celtics defense. The Celtics have just so many players that you can switch on to. Tatum gets around the screen so well. Like, the Celtics were hunting Strus pretty much that entire series.
Yeah.
Last game, or Game 7. And I feel like, Strus out there would be a liability against the Warriors. Obviously, like, Tyler Hero out there would be a major liability.
Especially if he's not 100%. I think if Hero was 100% healthy, Miami probably would have won the series, because Boston, they didn't play that great. I think they were just that much better than Miami, that they had that much of a margin of error. But I think if Tyler Hero's healthy, they probably win that series if Boston plays the same way. But defensively, he's a huge liability.
Yeah. And what was I going to say? The Celtics just, as I was saying, they can just keep up with the Warriors at least a little bit. Compare the Heat. I was going to talk about Kyle Lowry too, just out there defensively. Like, he's his hands are really quick and good, and he gets a lot of steals and stuff. But he's just so short, and he was pretty horrible this series. This game he was bad too. So definitely happy the Celtics won, just to give us a better series, a better finals matchup. And the Celtics could definitely win that series, as you were talking about. Tatum's playmaking really was shining in this Game 7 when the Heat just kept on sending these constant double teams at him, especially towards the end of the game. He was finding, Marcus Smart wide open 3 possessions in a row.
Yeah.
And he took the threes, which allowed the Heat to come back. Strus made that tough 3. to make it a 2-point game. And then, of course, the Jimmy Butler shot, the decision that, people will probably talk about for a while and people will remember for a while. That'll probably be kind of the thing of the memorable thing of the 2022 Eastern Conference Finals
Yeah.
is Butler attempting the three, which really, like, I don't know. I don't really mind because he was on fire this game. He was 48 minutes into the game, and definitely went for the kill shot there. Um, like, yeah, he probably would have scored if he would have driven down, or Brown would have come to help and Butler could have passed it out to Oladipo for a three. But like, really, I don't mind the aggressiveness by Butler to pull up.
Yeah. I mean, I would have liked him to drive. I wanted Miami to win this series. Just because I want Jimmy Butler. He's one of my favorite players. I want him to get a ring. But like, so I would have liked him to drive it. I mean, you got Al Horford backpedaling. He's been tremendous, the whole season defensively, but he's not going to want to foul. He was in foul trouble already. Like, he doesn't want to be too physical because he knows he's going to get a foul call. Jimmy Butler already is a tremendous foul drawer. I just think going to the rim was the obvious decision, but like him pulling up for like going for the win, going for the kill shot in game 7, like I don't mind that at all. Especially because Jimmy Butler is the reason that Miami is even in that game. He's playing 48 minutes. He was making everything in the first half. The second quarter, he was the reason why that game was even close. I mean, he single-handedly kept them in this game. So I don't mind that shot. That just, if you drive, you probably score. But if he does score, it's tied. Boston has a chance to shoot the last shot. And also, if it goes to overtime, Boston still probably wins because, they're just a better team. And in the clutch, they have been better. Well, actually, in the clutch, I think Miami's been better. So I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what happens in an overtime? I just think Boston probably wins based on the fact that you're gonna have Jimmy Butler playing 53 minutes and you're gonna have still no offensive creation for Miami.
Yeah. I mean, the offense towards the end was just I mean, they were down 9 with like 2 minutes left, or maybe even 1:30 left, and got it to within 2, which means they scored 7 points. So they had like 14 points in that quarter up until,
Yeah,
Marcus Smart's
they,
breakthrough.
they had a stretch. They were down 3, and then they had a stretch where they missed 9 straight shots, and Boston was able to go on like an 8-0, 9-0 run, push the lead back up to 13. That was like the game right there. If they are able to make a couple of shots in that time period, they probably win if they're able to make that same comeback. So, but I think Miami's downfall eventually was their offense. I think Duncan Robinson's like just the fact that he was taken out of the rotation is a big issue for Miami because the dude is getting paid like what $90 million and you're not even having him in the rotation. That's a big issue because when he's on, I mean, we last 2 seasons, he's been one of the best shooters in the league. He played a huge role in them getting to the finals in the bubble. So like when he's on, and he is going to help you tremendously in the season. And in these series, honestly, he would have helped a lot. But defensively, it's such a liability, and that's the issue. They can't have him out there.
Especially going against guys like Tatum and Brown.
Yeah, elite ISO, elite offensive guys who are going to take advantage of those mismatches. So I think when you look at Miami in the offseason, you're going to think, what are we going to be able to get back in a trade for Duncan Robinson? Are we going to have to send out picks to trade him because of his contract? Are we going to be able to get back a reliable offensive threat to go alongside Jimmy Butler? I really like Bam Adebayo's aggressiveness in this game. That was huge. Like, they also aren't in the game without that. So if he can, take that next step, become a 20-point per game scorer, 22 point per game scorer next season, I think Miami can get right back to this spot. But they still need one more piece, I think, to be a legit title contender. Because you can't just rely on Jimmy Butler. Because I love Jimmy Butler, but in a league right now where it's so jump shot reliant and so 3-point reliant, a guy who doesn't shoot threes well, I don't think you can rely on that in the postseason. And like defensively still elite, so you can have like obviously he can still be your best player and win, but I think they need another guy to be able to take that pressure off them.
Yeah, for sure. And that's probably what Tyler Hero would have been, but
Yeah, exactly. And that's probably what they envision him. He's going to be up for an extension. I am really, I'm very curious to see what he gets in terms of money wise, because he's obviously going to want a max. He's going to want the 5-year 170. Is he going to get it? I don't know. Miami probably doesn't have the cap room to offer him that much, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think they probably need one more. They're in a similar position to Dallas, I think, to where they're probably just one offensive piece away from being legit title contenders. But the fact they were able to get to a game 7 in the conference finals, that shows a lot about the coaching. It shows a lot about the personality of that team. It's exactly what got them to the finals in the bubble in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, just tough. And like everyone was just saying throughout the whole season, throughout the playoffs, oh, nobody's scared of the Heat. Like they're not going to do anything. Everyone just sleeping on the Heat. And they were, 2 minutes away from making the NBA finals.
Yeah.
So
one shot. They were literally inches away from making it.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if Strus, what did he step out of bounds on that 3-point shot?
The angle that they showed, it didn't look like he's like, it didn't look like, I think if there was another angle from the other side, I think the inside of his foot, the inside of his heel stepped out. But the angle that they showed to like justify, like, yeah, they waved it off. Look, he stepped out. I was like, I don't think he stepped out.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really like playing hypotheticals just because it'll be different. And then so Boston would play different. And it doesn't really just work like that.
Mm-hmm.
To where, the Heat would win if they counted that 3. But
yeah,
definitely would have helped anyways. But yeah, I mean, nothing really else to say about that series. Just the talent on Boston really showed offensively compared to Miami's talent offensively. So yeah, Boston goes to the finals. Both. Actually, no, I did pick the. I'm not gonna say who I picked to go to the finals, but the Celtics are definitely one of the top picks to make the finals. And
yeah, I'm gonna say I literally had them losing the first round of Brooklyn. I'm gonna admit it, but I do remember after Boston played the Nuggets in March. I vividly remember this game. They throttled the Nuggets. Like I have never seen a team play better than they did that day. I mean, defensively they were on point. That was probably Jokic's worst game of the season. He couldn't get anything going. They were making every single three. They had Peyton Pritchard pulling up on like 1-on-3s, like fast break triples, and he was draining them. I was like, this is insane. And I said after that game, I was like, Boston, if they play like that, they're gonna make it out of the East.
Yeah.
And obviously they didn't end up playing like that the whole time. But that turnaround that Boston had from where they were mid-year to now is one of the most insane turnarounds I've ever seen from a team. Especially with a rookie head coach in a non-veteran team. Like the only true vet on that team is Al Horford, and that's a guy who has, like, before today had never been to the finals. And obviously, he's playoff tested. That team is playoff tested, but for a team that is not used to winning, like really anything, for them to be able to make this turnaround with a rookie head coach is just unbelievable. And that, like, you just got to give credit to where credit's due. Like they made it happen themselves. They didn't use luck to do anything. They didn't dodge Brooklyn in the first round, which a lot of people accuse Milwaukee of doing. Maybe they didn't dodge Brooklyn. They made it all the way. So
yeah,
props to them.
Yeah, I mean, and they kind of remind me. I saw someone say this. They kind of remind you a little bit of like the young Thunder, whatever year that was, when they made the finals against the Heat. So it's like, what could Boston do that the Thunder failed to do? Because the Thunder had had a potential dynasty going.
Yeah,
Boston is almost kind of in the same situation. Like I think Durant's probably better than Tatum, and Westbrook's probably better than Jaylen Brown.
Yeah,
they got a lot of potential, and they're older than what the Thunder.
Yeah.
But they do have a lot of potential to be, 10 years down the road and they're still making the NBA finals.
Yeah, 100%. It is really similar because those Thunder teams were, I mean, they're making the second round conference finals. This is, Tatum's third conference finals already in his fifth season. It's Jaylen Brown's sixth season. It's his fourth conference finals. So I said they hadn't really won anything. I meant in terms of getting that championship, but they're an extremely experienced playoff team for how young they are. I mean, look at Grant Williams. It's his third year. He played huge minutes. You look at Peyton Pritchard, like he played big minutes. It's only his second season. Like they had a lot of young guys step up and play big time roles.
It really is, I guess, the second year of making the playoffs to where it's Tatum and Brown's team. It's not Isaiah Thomas and Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. It's not Kyrie and Tatum.
Mm-hmm.
It's now Tatum and Brown.
Yeah.
They made it. So credit to them. They go against the Warriors. This was just, a bad matchup all around for the Mavericks. Like you said, the Grizzlies played the Warriors the best, and it's because of their length and everything. I mean, the amount of turnovers Golden State had and a couple of those games was just insane. Like,
I mean, even in game 6, it ended in like a 15, 16 point win, but it was close the entire fourth quarter until Clay just went off in the end. Like that series could have flipped either way. Like every game except I think pretty sure game 3 was a blowout. And obviously like game 5, but the games that were close could have gone either way. But I think that shows to how experienced Golden State is. And that's good. That's going to play big in this series because Boston, I don't know what it was, but when the game got close and they had to make plays to win, they just couldn't do it. And I think that's going to be a big part is, are they going to be able to make the big plays in the clutch? Like this game, they just became morons when Miami started to make a run. Marcus Smart put up a 3 with like 10 seconds on the shot clock. Like, why are you doing that? I know you're wide open, but you got to run the clock down. They were taking stupid shots in the paint, trying to draw contact instead of just trying to score.
That play that led to Butler having that 3 was just Jaylen Brown forcing a layup.
Yeah.
With time left on the clock too.
Mm-hmm.
Just looking for contact and a horrible shot. So yeah.
Yeah. And they turn it over a lot in the clutch too. You look at game 3 in this series, they were down like 25 without Jimmy Butler playing. And they were able to come back because Jimmy Butler wasn't playing, but they messed up coverages. They just played so bad in the clutch. It honestly reminds you of what they looked like early in the season when they were blowing all these big leads and playing really dumb in the clutch. So hopefully they're able to fix that, because I think if they are able to play normally, like a normal team in the clutch, they have a chance to win. But I think that's going to be the biggest thing, because Golden State's finals experience from their top guys is really going to play a factor in this.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be tough because you never know with Clay. Clay and Smart are like the wild cards. Like Smart can go crazy one game and make 5 or 6 threes. Or he can do what he just did in game 7, where he just bricks 3 wide open threes in a row. So they're both kind of similar players in that regard. Like Clay is definitely more consistent offensively, but he also has those games where he, goes 1 for 10 from 3.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's those two, and then obviously Curry heat up because he really hasn't these playoffs yet.
Yeah.
So he could definitely.
That's going to be
like a type of thing for Curry, I think.
Yeah, no, this is a huge series. Like when you talk about legacy wise, this is a huge series for Curry, because if he isn't able to win this series, and if he wins and he sucks, that's gonna look really bad. It's gonna look even worse. And I think Golden State needs Curry to play well in this series because of how deep defensively Boston is. Because you look at matchup wise, there's no one he can hunt, right? You can't do a pick and roll and force a switch, because that's not going to work. Robert Williams and Al Horford both are mobile enough to stick with him on the perimeter, at least on the ball. And when you look at just one-on-one matchup, Marcus Smart, defensive player of the year, he's going to be the main matchup. That's as good as any team in the NBA can offer. in terms of one-on-one matchups against Steph Curry. So this is going to be a big series for him. He's going to have to be able to show out because the benches, I think Golden State probably has a slight advantage because offensively, I think they're a little more talented. But once again, defensively, how are they going to match up against them? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I think it'll be tough for Curry to go crazy just because of all the stuff that they'll be sending at him. As you said, he can't really hunt for any matchups. And that's kind of what happened in the Grizzlies series a little bit too. Like, I don't remember a game of Curry, having a tremendous game in the Grizzlies series. Maybe he had like one.
I don't either. I mean, he was pretty inefficient.
Yeah, he really hasn't that memorable game in the playoffs, and I feel like this is going to be his toughest matchup. So
yeah, it's the toughest matchup for Golden State by far. Like, I mean, when you look at how they started against Denver, like our defense was horrible, god awful, and then you look at Boston's. I mean, it's literally like worst to best.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's the exact opposite. It's no length to
all length,
incredible length.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how they adjust to it. This is going to be a really good series. People were saying it's going to end in 5. It's going 6 or 7. And are we going to make a prediction?
Celtics get home court, right?
No, Warriors at the better record, so they get home court.
Damn. I was gonna go Boston in 7 if they did have home court.
Yeah, I think the home court's a big. Boston has been very good on the road in the postseason. I mean, they won 3 games on the road. Yeah. I think 3 games on the road in this series.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so that's huge. You winning 3 games on the road I know Miami's not like.
Oh my God, this game I almost fell asleep this game just because. Well, I'm tired first of all, but oh my God, I know that everyone bashes on the crowd and stuff for going to the games, but dude, it's quiet too.
There were empty seats late in the game.
Yeah, I mean that compared to Boston's crowd is insane.
And
I think it's the kind of the way that the arena is laid out. This is just what I personally think is the staircases in Miami's arena are so wide. They're so huge. So it makes it look like it's open seats. You have little areas of seating where it's only 5 seats across. And so it seems like such little seating in the main bowl area. Compared to really any other team. I mean, I'm just thinking of Boston, it feels like the whole bowl is just filled.
Yeah.
But Miami, it's just chunk after chunk after chunk of staircase.
Yeah, I think Utah's a good example of the opposite of Miami. They have all of it, the entire bowl is connected. And they have, I'm pretty sure they have sectioned off. If you're in the lower bowl, you come in the same way. There's staircases at the very side, and if you're on the top lower bowl, you come in from the top part. I don't know if I'm making sense, but just visualizing like that. But Utah does a really good job with that. Golden State does a really good job with that. At least I know in Oracle they did. I'm not really sure about Chase, but you're right that the staircases are weirdly placed.
They're just bright red too, and it just makes it look like everything's empty. If there's just dark staircases and everyone else was wearing dark, I guess it would make it look better. But
one thing that really makes me angry is when teams will put out shirts for the crowd and they don't wear them.
Yeah.
And then it's it messes up the coordination. Half the crowd is wearing the shirts, the other half the crowd isn't. So it's supposed to be a whiteout in Miami, but there's some idiots wearing black Heat jerseys, and you're just ruining everything. Just put on the shirt.
Yeah. I think the Warriors had that. They finally brought out the yellow shirts for one of these games in Dallas.
Yeah.
It was it was nothing like Oracle Arena.
Yeah, nobody was wearing them. It makes me so mad because when I went to when I went to the Nuggets game 3 versus Suns last year. And they put out white shirts like for everybody, and I was like, oh, cool, it'll be like a whiteout. Like barely anyone was wearing them. It looks so lame. I was like, dude,
Yeah.
come on. Like when
I
you
know
look at
the
Utah,
Jazz fans are committed with
they do that so well, and it looks so cool, and it's such
they
an
have it
intimidating
colored
environment.
different like colors too.
Yeah, they have the different colors that are sectioned off. Like it looks so cool, and it's so intimidating when you go in there and everybody is wearing this shirt. It does add like a different element. So I wish fans take that a little more serious.
Yeah.
And it also only works with like bright t-shirts. Like if you
Oh
give
yeah,
out like a blue shirt or
I'm not
something, like
fans wear just blue shirts, like it just looks normal.
it doesn't make a difference. But if it's like white or yellow or red or like
Mhm.
orange like Utah does, like that looks so good.
Yeah.
And I am very jealous of the
Green and
teams
black.
whose fans actually wear them.
Yeah. I know. The Avs, I mean the Avs fans do a good job. It's crazy how much louder the Avs games are
Oh my
compared.
god. it's
It's like,
it's
aren't these the
ridiculous.
same people? Why are they so
I don't know. I was talking with my dad about this. I was like, the Nuggets game would never get like that.
yeah.
Like the game 5 atmosphere. I know the Avs lost, but the game 5 atmosphere after McKinnon scored the crazy goal and those 2 minutes leading up to the end of regulation, like I don't think I've ever heard the Nugget Stadium that loud.
Yeah.
Like
No. I
that
mean
was unreal. And
I mean the
I
Avs
think I think it's because like all of them are Avs fans, right? But not all of them are Nuggets fans. This is a bunch of them are Warriors or Celtics or Lakers fans. Like that's what like they're all have the common denominator of being Broncos and Avs fans. But when it comes to baseball and basketball, they're like, no, I'm a Dodgers fan. No, I'm a Cardinals fan.
yeah.
Or, no, I'm a Lakers fan. I'm a Celtics fan. Like I don't get it.
That's fair. Just because, yeah, feels like the NBA, it's just like different. Like you just don't have the same kind of affinity, or they're just like, well, it goes back to the whole market thing again.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, some fan bases are just huge. It seems like every kind of hockey fan base is like, like 700,000 followers on Twitter is like every
Yeah.
single, except
Yeah.
for like the Penguins and Bruins and stuff. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, the Avs crowd was crazy.
Yeah. It's gonna be even crazier.
Compared to the Blues crowd, the Blues crowd was a snooze. Like, everyone
Yeah.
was.
They didn't have no chance going. Like they didn't have any
Yeah,
sort
and
of
their only chance was like booing Kadri.
yeah. And then that didn't even work. After he scored the first
Yeah.
goal, they stopped and he had a hat trick.
Yeah. That was amazing. I do not like those St. Louis fans.
Oh my
It
god.
just makes
I
me.
didn't know how bad it was until like after game 3.
It makes me even more mad that we gave them Arenado too.
Oh Jesus. I saw a dude in the Twitter comments. He's like, oh, you guys are losing to Edmonton anyway. It's okay. And they're like, he's like, go worry about baseball, St. Louis. And then they're like, oh, we will. Thanks for Arenado. And I'm like, oh my god, we can't even like talk to them about that now. Jesus. The one good thing Stan Kroenke did was pull the Rams out of St. Louis.
Yeah, I know, right? At least we have like actual teams, like St. Louis. I mean, the Avs, Kadri scored more goals than St. Louis has professional sports teams in their cities. That's good. But anyways, yeah, just the Dallas Warriors series, bad matchup all around. You just needed. I mean, Luka didn't really go crazy this series.
I mean, even when he did, like he didn't have the help that he needed. And I think everyone knows the direction Dallas needs to go in. You either need to go get essentially you either go get Rudy Gobert or you make a move for Zach LaVine. Those are the two options that Dallas has, and they have the trade assets. They have the the salaries on the team to match with that. So
could they like sign Brunson and then sign someone else, or would you have to get rid of Brunson to bring in LaVine or something?
I mean, Denver has 3 maxes, so it would depend on how much they give Brunson. I have literally zero clue what his market would be, because like when you look at how he played this season, and especially how he played in the postseason, like I think you would have to be comfortable giving him somewhere around 20 million a year. and I'm sure he's going to want closer to 25. So like, if they're able to do something closer to 20 million, I think they could sign him and then do a sign and trade and send. They'd have to send Bertans, and you probably have to send Tim Hardaway, and then a couple picks probably to get Levine. But I think it would be possible. It would just be very hard. Yeah. But if they are able to keep Brunson and get Zach LaVine, that offense is unstoppable. Because then you have two legit guys who can spell Luka when he is tired.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I'd rather prefer to have a big man if I was the Mavericks. Because I mean, they brought in Dinwiddie, and he played pretty well.
In the playoffs, he played much better in the playoffs in the regular season.
Yeah. He gave you a 30-point game against the Suns, and I think he had 30 in game 5 against the Warriors.
He played pretty well. He played really. He did do well.
So they tried that, like bringing in another perimeter guy, but I just feel like Luka is just so, like, whatever, ball like heavy. Like he just has the ball so much. And I know like it worked obviously with Harden and CP3, but that's like just two guys. Having like Luka, Brunson, Dinwiddie, and Levine, like I feel like that would be kind of tough. All just kind of wanting to score the ball. Whereas if you get a big man, obviously the defense gets better. Because if you bring in Levine, I mean the defense is horrible. Perimeter.
Defense gets worse. Like exactly. It's entering conversations for one of the worst in the league, at least in the backcourt.
Yeah, and obviously like that didn't work against the Warriors. Like you need just bigger, longer guys to beat them. And Gobert is exactly that. So
yeah, I think. I mean, you look at how Utah ended the season. They would be smart to listen to offers at least. Yeah. And I would assume they would take something. I would also assume they still want to stay competitive. So taking an offer from a team like Dallas, who is going to be able to give them back pieces to help them remain competitive, like Tim Hardaway Jr., like Bertans when he is hitting his shots, and then getting picks back to be able to develop, I think they would be smart to do that. I also think if they are in a mode to choose between Gobert and Mitchell, I would choose Gobert. I would keep Gobert because I think it's much harder to replace him defensively than it is to replace Mitchell, what he brings offensively. And
yeah, he definitely took a step back this year.
Yeah.
I think he lost a step. He lost an athletic step for sure. And I feel like he lost.
His playmaking took a huge step down.
His best playmaking year at all.
Yeah, like last season, I think he was phenomenal. Obviously leading Utah to the number 1 seed, best record in the NBA. But like his playmaking was a bigger thing. I think that was his biggest jump that he made.
Yeah, and now it just kind of went back.
It went down so much. So, and part of it was because he just didn't look at Rudy Gobert.
Yeah,
it was. I mean, that's most of Utah's team, but it's on your best player to look at that. So, that is an issue. So I think
defense is definitely an issue.
Also, his defense. Like, if you can trade him and get a guy who's good two-way, that would be perfect. And I think a lot of people are putting him to the Knicks. I don't know what if New York is comfortable giving up RJ Barrett, Utah should do that. Because they're also going to give up picks, which will, I don't know, they won't be in the lottery, but they're going to be before pick 20. So
yeah, the defense thing makes me mad because like he's another one of those guys where it's like he has kind of that prime defensive build. Like he's big, he's built up, he's fast, and
he's long too. He's not like he's a little undersized in terms of height, but he has a really long wingspan.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I don't understand that. Plus, I don't know. I feel like he's like people kind of know him as just kind of the guy that like takes motivation from everything. Like he always looks like he's pissed off or whatever, and is gonna come back and destroy the world. And he starts liking tweets made by the Nuggets Twitter account. I remember that in the bubble. He was liking our tweets
Yeah.
just to make you more mad. And then he just doesn't try on defense, where it's like, if you're this mad, why are you not trying on defense?
Yeah. Yeah. It is. Yeah. That's the biggest issue that I have with this game too. So uh it'll be interesting to see what Utah does. Because I think because when you look at it at face value, yeah, Mitchell's a better player than Gobert. And like honestly, I think that they work well together on the court. But if they don't like each other, like you can't do anything about that. So you're gonna have to get rid of one. I have a feeling it's gonna be Gobert because I have a feeling Gobert is gonna be like, or Mitchell is gonna be like it's me or Rudy, and they're gonna panic and choose Mitchell.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think Dallas is in a position where they have options. I think, like I said, it's either Gobert or Levine, but you can also see if Indiana is going to budge on Miles Turner. I think he would be a great option B if you're not able to get Gobert. There are other bigs in the league you can try and go after. Mitchell Robinson's a free agent. I think he'd be a really good addition. So a lot of things Dallas can do, but they need a big and they need a second scoring option. I think everyone kind of knows that.
Yeah. But anyways, I think that's pretty much it for playoff talk. We're also gonna just as a little kind of fun ranking thing. We'll rank who we thought was the 10 best players as this NBA season is winding down. The 10 best players in the NBA this season, regular season wise. It's because the playoffs you never really know, and some guys, obviously, as we know, have horrible teams around them and can't really
Do much.
go further into the playoffs. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, regular season only pretty much. Number one, I figure is, or should we go 10-1?
Let's go 10-1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 10 for me is, I think we have it different unless, I don't know if you switched it, but DeMar DeRozan, for me, just that he had, like midway through the season, 3/4 away through the season before the Bulls imploded, he had him at the 1 seed and was the top 5 MVP candidate. Just his efficiency scoring wise, his playmaking was decent. He shot, I think it was 59% true shooting percentage. His 3-point percentage was, I believe, the highest of his career, on the most attempts of his career. 35% from 3, 5 assists, 28 points a game. He was a perfect get for the Bulls.
Yeah. A lot of people thought that it was a really bad signing, but just based on the money of it. But he fit perfectly in there. I also have him at 10. I had Ja Morant, but then I compared their stats next to each other. And DeRozan had him beat in almost everything except rebounds and assists. Like when it comes to efficiency, when it comes to shots taken, minutes, games played, DeRozan had him beat on everything. So, and I think the games played was probably the biggest factor. Ja obviously put up insane numbers. He was second team All NBA, and that's 100% deserved. I'm not trying to discredit him at all. It's more of me propping up DeMar because he did have a phenomenal start to the season. And he was one of the top 3 leading candidates through the first couple of months of the season for MVP. And then injuries started to hit Chicago really hard, and he had to take a higher load. His efficiency dropped, his numbers kind of dropped, and he just fell out of it. But he still did have a very good season. He still kept up an average of 28 per game the whole year, which is extremely good. On pretty good efficiency too. He shot over 50% from the field. Like Asher mentioned, his true shooting percentage is almost 60, which for a perimeter guy, extremely, extremely good. So I got him at 10.
Yeah. Number 9, I know we were this one is just like tough, because obviously he's one of the best players in the league, but I have Kevin Durant at 9.
Oh.
Yeah, I did end up, just looking at Durant's stats again, like the only reason he's like this low or not even on your list, I think, is just because of the games played, like only 55 games played, but like 30 points a game, 52% from the field. I mean, his true shooting is probably, let me see it right now. I mean, it was 63%.
God.
So, I mean, he had like an insane year, and the playmaking was, I think, the best of his career this year. Um, yeah, I mean, averaged the most assists, and I thought just looking at it, he looked like the best playmaker um, in his career. And so, yeah, I realized he only played 55 games, but like, I mean, in those 55 games, he was, phenomenal. And people think about the playoffs and stuff, but that's why we're just doing the regular season. And
Yeah.
I mean, in the regular season, like I remember, I mean, even early in the season, he was before he got hurt. It was like he was an MVP type.
Yeah. It was him, Steph, and DeRozan pretty
Yeah.
much as a top three. I do have Katie on my list.
Oh, you do.
I do have him on my list. But he is a little higher than ninth. I have Trae Young at 9. I think when you just look at his stats, they're insane. He led the league in total points and total assists. Only player to do that in college and the NBA. Yeah, I mean, look at his stats this season. Just at face value, 28.4 points per game, 9.7 assists. Shot a career high from 3 this season at 38% on 8 attempts a game, which is just ridiculous. Shot 90% from the free throw line. 9.7 assists to 4 turnovers. So basically like a 2-to-1, a little higher than 2-to-1. Very, very good. And for him to be able to drag the Hawks to the playoffs, just based on how bad they were this season, is crazy. Like, I don't understand how they were so bad because of how talented they are, and because it's essentially the same roster as last season when they made the conference finals. But yeah, I mean, I just think he didn't get a lot of recognition this season. But I think that, I mean, he was phenomenal. I think the bigger thing, shot 51% from 2-point range, which is, for a guy of his size to shoot that well from 2-point range, to shoot that well in the paint, really, 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 really good. So I have him at 9th. I think he entered the elite tier of point guards this season.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think he's the second best point guard in the league. And I have him at 8th, just for all the reasons you stated. And I guess just overall, I guess he had a better season than Durant just because of the games played. And as you said, led the league in points, led the league in assists. Yeah, he was phenomenal. Don't really need to expand on that much more.
Yeah.
You have an 8th.
At 8th, I have LeBron. I don't know if he should be higher because I feel like when you take it at face value, probably should be higher than this. But when I look at the guys above him, and I look at the fact that everybody above him made the playoffs, and he is the only guy on this list who did not, I feel like 8th is a good spot for him. He technically led the league in scoring when you look at points per game. He just didn't have enough games to qualify. But Lakers roster was an absolute mess this season. Westbrook clearly didn't fit in from like the first game. It was evident. Anthony Davis being in and out of the lineup with injury didn't help. And the rest of the roster was just really bad. So I have him at 8th just because he put up the best scoring season of his career this season. Well, actually, no, that's not true. He averaged like 32 or 33 in Cleveland. But I don't know. I just averaging 30 points a game. I feel like he has to be on this list. The fact that the Lakers roster was so bad the entire season, and he single-handedly was keeping them in games, despite the fact that he had legitimately the Lakers roster, when you look at it top to bottom, is like one of the worst in the league. It is truly horrible outside of AD and LeBron. So, but yeah, I think like he averaged 30. Like, he has to be on this list. I don't know what other explanation I have to have other than that.
Yeah. No, I mean he was amazing. I have him a little higher, at 7 for me. I have Curry, but like even like looking, this was Curry's worst season since he was young and everything.
Hmm.
Like, did Trey Young have a better season than Curry? I mean, I'm just looking at this like shot better from the field, better true shooting, more assists, more points. Um, I don't know. I mean, I guess it just goes back to like the winning team kind of bias and everything, but higher PER by 4 points.
Paying by 4? Jesus.
Yeah, more win shares. Like, I don't know. I'm like thinking like, did Trey have a better season than Curry? Because I mean, obviously, like the whole Curry thing, you can't really just plainly like look at stats because of
Yeah.
all the stuff he creates with all of his off-ball movement and everything. So I would say, like, yeah, Curry probably does affect the team more to win games, um, which is what I kind of look at for who's a better player. Um, so yeah, I have Curry at 7. Even though this was one of his worst years, like he was still amazing.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, Curry at
Yeah.
7.
I also have him at 7. I got him right there. I mean, like you're right. Like when you look at the numbers, Trey Young, just when you look at box score, he did have a better season. I didn't know his PER was that much higher. But yeah, like his 3-point percentage is the worst it's been his entire career. His field goal percentage was the worst it's been his entire career. Um, and without Draymond Green, the Warriors were essentially a 500 team. Uh, what does that say about Steph? I don't know, but like, he was as electric in the beginning of the season as I've ever seen him. And when Draymond got hurt, his efficiency really fell off. Everything kind of started to fall off. Um, yeah, I mean, he shot 40. Like for his career, he shoots 47% from the field. He shot 44%. Like he
Yeah,
was legitimately not efficient this season, um, which is
yeah, like
just
I
so
don't.
odd to see.
Yeah, like this version of Steph right now. I mean, like you can kind of tell. I feel like he doesn't create as much. Like when he tries to isolate, like he just does not create much space, and he just kind of goes
Mm-hmm.
everywhere without really going anywhere and without really creating space. Um, so yeah, I mean, the age is definitely catching up to him. I think a little
Yeah, I
bit.
mean, it's crazy to like say, but he's 33. He's going into his age 34 season. Like
34 now.
he
Yeah,
is. Oh wait, he is 34.
yeah. It says 33 on Basketball Reference, but um, yeah, he's 34.
So like that is old. Like
I mean, that's an
he's
old.
he's like 34 is old. Like he is entering. This was probably the first season that was outside of his prime when you think about it. So
Yeah,
um
I mean, even just looking at these playoffs, like he has not played well in the playoffs. His stats.
mhm,
I mean, his stats look better than what he's actually played like in the playoffs. Just
yeah,
like he has front run a lot in these playoffs.
he has. He
To
has.
where
Like a
he,
lot of people don't like to think
I
about it
know,
when you say it
yeah,
like that, but
like,
he legitimately has front run a lot. Like
he hasn't been good when the game's close. Like,
yeah, yeah.
and there hasn't been one of those games where he goes crazy, as I was saying.
Hmm.
Um, and this is why, like, I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it, like, do these finals? I don't think these finals really should mean too much, just because, like, I don't know. This version of Steph is just not the same as it was when he was in his like late 20s.
Yeah.
Uh, Going against a team like Boston, where I mean, he could have a really tough time. Like,
Hmm.
this is going to be a tough series for him, I think.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, you're right. And he won like the Western Conference MVP, but like he was not the most impactful player
I mean, he
that
had
series.
15 points in the closeout game and won it. Like, that's just kind of weird. But
Yeah. Like
um,
there were other players who were definitely more like there are more players who are more impactful on that team than Steph, at least in that series, who made a lot more impactful plays than he did. And when you look at his advanced stats, I think what's kind of telling is his 3-point rate this season was the highest of his career. And I think that shows a lot. And his free throw rate was also pretty low. And I think that shows that he just wasn't getting to the rim as much. He wasn't.
First step is slow.
Like his first step wasn't as fast. He just wasn't as quick as he used to be. Off ball, he's still extremely deadly because his stamina is still like the best in the league. He's able to run across every single screen 3 times in a row, and still get open and still have enough energy to get off a clean shot. But his true shooting percentage was down. His efficiency across the board was down. So like it's interesting to think about the fact that he might be, out of his prime, and he's still an extremely good player. Like he averaged 25 a game this season. like he's still very, very good. And it's not like his efficiency was awful. Like 44% from the field for a guy who shoots 19 shots a game. That's not awful. 38% from 3 for a guy who shoots 12 threes a game. That's elite still. So like, it's not that he's horrible at basketball now. He's just lost a step athletically, and you can definitely see it in the postseason. He isn't able to get by players as much.
Yeah. I mean, I remember like him getting to the rim. I mean, that the shot, like people were like, impersonating was that like
the floater
underhand. Yeah. I haven't seen a single one of those this entire season.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm like, where are these high arcing underhand floaters that kids everywhere used to do?
Yeah.
I just have not seen that. I mean, I don't even remember seeing it like last season.
I don't remember seeing it in a while.
Yeah.
So you are right.
I just think that's like, that is kind of aged just to where he doesn't really get into the lane that often.
Mm-hmm.
His floater though, like his overhand floater is deadly.
Yeah.
So, but
he hasn't been getting to the rim as much at all. That is 100% correct. So looks like he is starting to age a little bit. He's still an elite player. I still think, like he's still top 10. I think there's still an argument to be made that he is a top 5 player in the league. Like barely, like you can argue that he's the 5th. But it is interesting to see how he has declined over the past couple seasons. Because last year he was phenomenal, but like he averaged 32 a game, but it was very, very similar things were happening. He wasn't getting to the rim. He wasn't finishing through contact as well as he used to. It was just straight jump shot. And he was draining them because he's Steph Curry. But I think last year you could kind of tell that the athleticism wasn't where it used to be.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that, he's like Ja Morant or anything in terms of athleticism, but that first step.
It's like Trae Young right now.
Yeah.
With his first step.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like sad talking about it now because it's like one of my favorite before I even really like started caring about basketball and before Jokic and stuff. I mean, like he was my favorite basketball player.
No, I remember that first playoff series, 2012, 2013, when Denver did play Golden State and hit his kind of breakout year. Like my friend, he would watch more basketball than me at that point. This is like 5th grade or something. Like I really didn't care. But he was like, I was like, because I'm a Nuggets fan. I'm like 10. I'm like, oh yeah, Nuggets are gonna win. Nuggets gonna win. And he was like, dude, I don't know, man. Steph Curry had a ridiculous season. I'm like, who is that? I don't even know who that is.
Oh my god, dude! I remember playing. I had 2K11 on the Wii.
Oh my god!
I'm like playing the Warriors or something. First of all, I didn't even know the Warriors existed. Like
I thought the Warriors were a college team because it was Golden State. Like
I thought there was just some made up team by 2K. Like I thought it was just a randomly computer generated team because I saw the name like Curry and I'm like, dude, there's no way a guy named Curry like exists because I've never heard of Del Curry. I'm like, okay, so this guy's like fake. And then Klay Thompson doesn't even have a picture yet, but he's in the game. And I'm like, who is this guy? Like, what is this team? Who is in 2K11? And then I remember, I would go against it. And he has the little, how they did like the 3 little
Yeah.
right by the name. So he had
Mhm.
that. And then, yeah, the first game I remember, like, is that one he had at MSG.
Oh
Wait,
yeah.
54. Like I remember watching the highlights like the day after. I'm like, damn, okay, this is who this Curry guy is.
Yeah.
And then yeah, that Nuggets series, it was tough, like because I was like living overseas and shit, so I couldn't really watch too much. But I do remember watching it. I remember Iguodala, like
Oh my
he
god.
was so that half court shot in one of the like didn't he have like the half court shot that almost went in at the end of a game? I think it was the closing game to close out the
I think
series.
it was game 6 or game 4.
I think it was game. Yeah, I feel like it was game 6. At
Game
Golden.
6. Well, I remember very very faintly that the Nuggets made like a last ditch insane comeback effort and almost won. So that might have been it, but
Yeah,
I don't remember. I don't remember it getting to like a last shot opportunity.
I don't know. I just remember Iggy's like half court shot just hitting the front of the rim. I feel like that would have been for the win. I don't know though. I'll look it up later. But
Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, back to I feel like that's kind of like everyone's like story with Curry though. I mean, that's when all the bandwagons started to pop up. And
Yeah.
I mean, there was like serious bandwagoning. Like that was the
Oh
first
my god.
the first time I've heard the word bandwagoning. I mean, that is the worst like bandwagon there's ever.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because I
I guess
remember like
but
around that time, it
yeah,
was like um there was Warriors bandwagons, Seahawks bandwagons, and it was Blue Jays bandwagons. Those are the 3.
mhm.
Those are 3
I mean,
teams.
maybe LeBron in the early 2000s when I wasn't really functioning. I mean, he
Yeah.
probably had a ton of bandwagons too, but the Warriors like the first bandwagon that existed in my life.
Yeah.
All right, but yeah, speaking of LeBron, I have him at 6. Yeah, just I mean, he was incredible this season. Like, I forget which game it was, but when he had like, like 8 threes, or maybe even it was even more threes, but he had like 55 points, I think. It was one of those. Oh my god, I forget. I forget if
Was it
it's like
against the Pacers?
maybe the Pacers. I forget. Um, but it was at LA. I know that, but he had an insane game.
Uh, no.
50 something
He's
points.
still
Yeah.
like that guy. He's still LeBron. I think you could definitely tell he's lost a step athletically
Oh yeah.
in terms of verticality. He's not dunking everything anymore. Even when he gets to the rim, he left a lot of stuff short.
Mhm.
He couldn't get by defenders as easily, as shown by Davon Reed clamping him up. Like that's not happening like 4 years ago. Like,
Yeah.
um, so you can definitely see he's lost a step, but he's still, LeBron James. Like
Yeah. It's
he's
insane watching like I want to watch more like early game or early LeBron stuff. Like I've seen the highlights and stuff and how
yeah,
insanely fast and athletic he is, but like I want to watch and see how he actually won those games because he did not have a jump shot whatsoever. So it was just pure
yeah,
attack. Like I just want to watch like the Eastern Conference Finals to get into that Orlando series.
yeah.
Um,
I want to watch his highlights from his 2012-2013 Miami season because
oh
that
yeah, I saw that. I saw like one highlight today or something, and that's what really made me realize like, damn, LeBron has lost a step because he got to the rim so quick.
it's like one dribble and one step and he's there.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's like how Giannis gets to the rim now, but Giannis is 7 foot, LeBron's 6'8". Like it's unbelievable how athletic that guy is.
Something about just the way LeBron like does it too, just like way more like cooler than Giannis.
Yeah.
He doesn't just barrel into people.
It's a lot smoother.
Yeah, it is smooth. Yeah, that's a good word.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. He is still that guy.
yeah,
I
but yeah,
am
now he's just turned into like a jump shooter, and it's kind of boring. But I mean, he's like transformed his game like 360, and he's still averaging 30 points a game.
yeah. Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And the thing is, like I said, he might have lost his step. He shot 62% from 2-point range this season. 62%. And that's him losing a step. Like, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. Like, I remember when he had like 50 against Indiana or something. I remember so vividly thinking, like, I am so glad that the Nuggets have never been on like the losing end of a game like that, where he just doesn't miss. Like, I'm so glad, because I don't think I would have been able to handle it.
Oh, was it against the Warriors? Maybe
It might. I know he had a 50 against the Warriors.
Yeah, it was 55, 56.
Jeez.
I don't know how many three. Oh, he was 6 for 11, but he was 19 for 31. Yeah. I mean, I feel like he probably is better than Jordan.
Yeah. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, when you just look at it like basketball wise, like I see less and less of an argument to say Jordan's a better pure basketball player than LeBron, because of
like, it's just tough, like basing it off of that, because like LeBron does have way more technology advances.
Yeah.
And or advantages. And just like players get better as time goes on, because they know what other players do well and not do well, and what works and what doesn't work. But yeah, I mean, I mean, even just in the playoffs and stuff, like his numbers are crazy. Obviously, his teams have not been good compared to Jordan's teams. Like, yeah, Jordan has missed the playoffs when Pippen left, and he's gotten swept quite a bit too, which I don't think LeBron's ever been.
No, he's never been swept. No, he has in the finals. Yes.
Right? Oh,
yeah.
Did he get swept by the Suns last year? Or was that a 5 game?
It was 6.
Oh, it was 6. Damn.
They're up 2-1, and then AD got hurt.
Yeah.
But he got swept by Golden State in 2018, and he got swept by San Antonio in 2008, 2007, one of the two. But like, when you look at Jordan not making playoffs with bad teams, and LeBron not even making playoffs, making finals with horrible teams.
Like the Warriors stat where it's like they've made 6 of the last 8 finals. Like LeBron made 9 of the last 9 finals.
Yeah.
With
horrible teams.
Yeah.
Like outside, like the Miami teams and the Cleveland teams were okay. I honestly think the 2017 Cleveland team, the year after they won the championship, was a better team, but the only reason they lost is because KD was there. But like the 2018 Cleveland team, horrible.
Yeah.
Honest to God, one of the worst teams I've ever seen outside LeBron. Like, legitimately. Kevin Love was not Kevin Love. He was, I don't know what happened to him, but he was horrible that season. They had to trade half the roster because they all sucked, and they got the players back, and they didn't do anything. They didn't change. Like, that roster was horrible, and they somehow made the finals.
Yeah.
Insane.
And they should have won game 1 if George Hill made the free throw, or if JR, whatever.
JR doesn't go insane.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, was that 6?
Yeah.
Okay. I have Tatum at 6. He just had he was the beginning of the season, we talked about it earlier, like they were horrible. And his turnaround, I think the step he took defensively this season is extremely underrated. And I think there's a reason I have him so high, because defensively, he's legitimately become an elite defensive player, and he's become an elite two-way player. I think he is slowly just becoming Paul George. But like, I think a better version of Paul George, because I think he's a little better creating. And I think it's because he's a lot younger. He's still like 24. So he's younger and better than Paul George was at the same age. He's better than Paul George was. So I think he's at the same level Paul George is at now. And he's, 24, not 32. So he is, I think he's incredible. The only flaw that is there is that his playmaking is incredibly inconsistent. But in like game 7 today, he showed out. He's a big time playoff performer. Like he plays in big games, he plays big, and that's huge. And I know we're not talking about playoffs, but I just think that he's been in the regular season he was phenomenal, and I think he's the biggest reason that they were able to turn around because he was the best player, and it all starts with the best player.
Yeah, for sure. I have him at 5. Just everything you said. Yeah, we can kind of just go a little faster through this list too.
Yeah.
Um,
All right. At 5, I have KD. I looked at his stats, and they're just ridiculous. Like he said, 62 true shooting percentage for guys that perimeter. He averaged 30 points a game. And also, he had to deal, like, the Embiid argument for MVP is, he had to deal with all the Ben Simmons drama. KD, like, are you, like, is the drama he had to deal with Kyrie doing his thing, and with James Harden forgetting how to play basketball and then demanding a trade is unreal. So he had to deal with that.
I mean, Simmons was like supposed to play this year,
and it just
never played.
He just didn't. So he he probably had to deal with the most drama in the locker room out of any player in the NBA, and he didn't let it affect him at all. He's as pure of a hooper as they come. So I got him at 5 just because I mean he was insane, especially after he came back from injury and he was healthy. He was just as good as he was before.
Yeah, I should have probably moved him up, but whatever. I feel like our top 4 is like the same.
Yeah, probably.
Luka at 4, Embiid at 3, Giannis 2, and then obviously Jokic 1.
I have Embiid 2 and Giannis 3.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, Luka 4 and then Jokic 1.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think we talked about the whole year. I think Luka should have gotten a lot more MVP love, especially based on our Nuggets fans' criteria, because his team around him really isn't that good. It's built very well to his strengths, but when you look at talent-wise, it's not all that crazy. And he led them to the 4 seed and obviously the Western Conference Finals. But he should have gotten a lot more MVP love. I don't know how Tatum and Booker ended up ahead of him in MVP voting. I think he should have been.
Booker's not even on any of.
Yeah, he's not. Like, I don't think he's even close to top 10. But I think Luka should have been an easy 4th in MVP voting.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think he's pretty clearly 4th. I think top 4 in the NBA right now is pretty established.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just have Giannis. I don't know why I have him kind of ahead of Embiid, but like I just feel like he's the better player. And just did, I guess, overall have a better season. And I know we're not really talking about playoffs, but the fact that he did get to 7 against Boston, and KD got swept, like,
yeah,
that definitely is something.
That shows a lot. And I mean, he put up a historic season too.
I thought when Middleton went down that the Bucks were gonna lose in 5.
I thought Chicago had a legit shot at beating them.
Yeah, because I thought, like, I mean, Middleton, like, last year he closed out that Hawks series. I mean, Middleton was like a huge part of that team, and I'm like, okay, well, Giannis doesn't have his efficient score. Like, I don't know what he's gonna do. So I thought he was gonna get bounced in 5, or yeah, I mean, Chicago even had a chance, but yeah, he was phenomenal without Middleton, so I give him credit for that.
Yeah. I have him beat above. I do think he had the better season. I think when you look at the scoring, the efficiency, you do have to put him. I think I'd have him above Giannis. I think defensively Giannis is better, but I think Giannis also had the benefit of playing with a healthy Middleton, a healthy Holiday the whole year, while Embiid, I know, like, he didn't have Ben Simmons the whole season, and when James Harden came back, he wasn't 30 points per game James Harden. He was weird 18 and 12 James Harden, which is not the best version of him. So I do think that he had the better season. I don't think he had a better roster than Milwaukee. It is a good roster, but I don't think it's as good. But yeah, I think when you look at Embiid, I do think that I think he's the second best center since Shaq, and I think Jokic is the best since Shaq. And I just think I had to reward him putting him two because I think it's ridiculous that he wasn't first team first of all, and it not because I think he's better than Jokic, but because I think he's better than Booker and Tatum. I don't think either of those guys should have been first team ahead of.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Like I think like it was like StatMuse's Twitter account said Giannis over the last 5 seasons or whatever has gotten 100 out of 100 All NBA first team vote, and they're like under it says like best player in the world, and it's like, well, he plays a forward position that gets 2 spots on the All NBA team, so he gets to have, if he's not the best forward in the league, he can be the second best and still get 100 out of 100 first place votes. Where it's like Jokic, I think got like 70 something or 80 something, because he has Embiid's competition, and there's only one. Like if you could allow 2 centers on the All NBA team, both of them would be 100 out of 100.
Oh, easily, yeah. And so like, I think it's really dumb because the All-Star game format is backcourt, frontcourt. There's no positions. Yeah. So why is the All NBA team like that? Yeah. I think they have to move towards that because Embiid the last 2 seasons was 100% a first team caliber player, and he got shoved to the second team because in favor of Devin Booker. Like I don't see why that should be a thing. But yeah, I think it was between Jokic and Embiid. I think Giannis had a run where he did have an argument for best player in the league. And I think if you take into account postseason and you take into account what he did last season and what he did this season in the postseason, he probably is overall the best player in the league. But I think Jokic and Embiid this season were better than him. But I think overall, as much as it pains me to say it, I think Giannis is.
I know, but man, I just need 1 year of this team being healthy, and
1 year of it being healthy, the entire consensus is going to change to say Jokic.
I mean, I think Jokic even gets better with a better team around him.
I think he's going to be even more efficient, and he's going to be even more careful. He's not going to turn the ball over as much.
Well, he's going to average more assists.
Yep.
And I feel like, everyone knows how good the Murray and Jokic 2-man game is. Even his points per game could go up just because of that hyper efficiency. And he only shot, he shot 17 field goals per game. But so much more of it was isolation compared to last year. I mean, he averaged more shots per game last year than he did this year. And I think it's because the team was healthy. Usually when people think of teams being healthy and one star having a couple other stars on their team, the points per game will overall go down. But I feel like Jokic would be the opposite, to where his points per game will go up.
Yeah. I mean, there were legit possessions and legit games where he was getting doubled before the catch. And for a big man, legitimately, you have not seen that since Shaq.
Yeah, and the Warriors played the Bucks in 1 coverage against a big man.
You never see that. You never see a box and 1 being played against a big man. You really see a box and 1 being played at all.
Yeah, they did it to Luka a little bit, but yeah, you never see it against a big man.
Yeah, I that was incredible. I think the biggest critique that you have to have about Jokic this season at least was the free throws. It was oddly bad. And it wasn't even horrible. 81% is still good, and he shot the most that he's had in his career at 6.3 a game. But that's it. But when you look at turnovers, he averaged the most of his career at 3.8. And for him, averaging 7.9 assists is compared to 8.3 last year. Him averaging a full turnover per game more, it just shows that there was nobody around him that could do anything to help. So that's just, I think putting more people around him, it'll help his turnovers. It'll obviously help his assists. And I think you are right that it will help his points. I'm talked about this with some friends last night. The injuries were, I'm not gonna say a blessing in disguise because they ruined 2 straight Nuggets seasons, but we would not have been able to see this Nikola Jokic ever without
Yeah.
the injuries. He would not have been able to know that he is this dominant of a scorer without those injuries. So
Right.
I'm glad that we were able to see this version of him, because when I look at it, like this has to be his peak. Like I don't understand how this can't be his peak. I don't get how he can get better in
He's
terms
got
of
better
box
every
score
single
stats.
year. Yeah.
It's like I don't know how his 27 a game is a lot. Like 27 a game next year with Murray and MPJ is going to be insane if he's able to reach that.
Like last year, he shot 39% from three.
Mm-hmm.
Is that third year in the league when he was just insane from three?
Yeah.
Yeah, he shot 40% from three, and then it's down to 34% this year. So yeah, like I mean that could be better, but yeah, I mean he's insane. Like
Yeah.
it's wild how he's like on our basketball team.
Yeah. I'm so every time I watch him play, I'm like, we really have him. And every report that comes out about him that he's committed to staying, I'm like, man, let's go.
Really like the perfect guy. No drama.
Did you see the report that came out like a couple of days ago where it's like when he retires, he wants to go to Serbia and train horses?
Yeah.
Like that's all. Like he imagine being so good at a sport and it's not even your favorite. Like
I know. Like, he doesn't. This is just his job.
like, this is literally like a hobby for him. Like this is not his main
like
sport.
Perfect like player. Love just like I love the playmaking and stuff, and he's perfect at that. He's not like a foul baiter. He's not like a flopper.
Mm-hmm.
He's not just annoying to watch. Like
Yeah,
he has the. I love playmaking, and that's kind of the same thing with Curry. And Curry's outside game was insane. Jokic's inside game is crazy.
that's
Like pretty like they're completely opposite, but they're like similar in the same sort of.
yeah. I Swipe a Cam put out a tweet and he said it's like, and it let it be the thing. It was basically showing how insanely efficient Jokic was from 2-point range, and it made me think like Jokic is as good at 2-pointers that Curry is at threes. And I'm like, that might be a crazy thing to say, but when you look at his stats this season, you look at how ridiculously efficient he's been the last 2 seasons, I don't know if it's that crazy to say. He shot 65% from 2 this year. 65%. His effective field goal percentage was 62. His true shooting was unbelievable, 66. Ridiculous. And it's not like he's just a dude who only does layups. Like he shoots jumpers, he shoots mid ranges, he has floaters, he has hook shots. He doesn't just do layups. Like DeAndre Jordan's true shooting percentage is like 1,000,000 because he only does dunks. Mm-hmm. But his is 66. Unreal.
Yeah. Just I mean, ridiculous. And his kind of on-ball playmaking is like the same with Curry's off-ball playmaking because everyone, I think like Jokic is like gravity or whatever. Like no one talks about that, but he is insane gravity with. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean he sucks everyone in to just stop cutters and stuff, and obviously all the double teams. So yeah, I mean having shooters next year will definitely help with that.
It's gonna be phenomenal. I'll say one last point about Jokic, so then we can probably wrap it up. So a lot of people are going to say that history won't be kind to Jokic when you look back. If he's not able to, get a couple championships and like truly make an all-time career out of it, history won't be very kind to him when they see that he is a 2-time MVP and you look at the rest of the people who have won back-to-back and it's, guys like Will Chamberlain, LeBron, like Oscar Robertson, like all of these insane all-time greats, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, just insane all-time greats. Then you look and it's Nikola Jokic. But I think a lot of people have to start realizing Jokic is on track to be with those guys. He is on track to be a top 20 player, if
It's
not higher.
like he's 27 years old. This was his, and this was like his age 26 season because he turns like
Yeah.
season's pretty much over. So like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like people are acting he's like 33 or something. Like this guy has so many years left.
The last 2 seasons were truly the first 2 seasons of his prime.
Yeah.
Like that's insane.
And
Insane.
it's prime, just the way he plays, like it's gonna last till. I mean, if he decides to keep playing,
Yeah.
his prime could be like 10 years, from 25 to 35.
Yeah, legitimately. It legitimately could. He has the ability for LeBron-like longevity, and I think that is going to put him in the stratosphere of all-time greats and put him in a conversation to be a top 20 player of all time. But like, I think people have to start realizing that he is on track for that. And I know a lot of people don't like thinking about that, thinking that way about Jokic, because for whatever reason, they just think he's advanced stats wise good. They just think that, because he's not athletic, he can't do it. But I think he's legitimately on track to be that, and he is going to be that. So people start realizing that, and when they when they talk about him that way, they have to realize that that's just wrong. Like he's not gonna be, like, history is not gonna remember him unkindly. Like he's gonna be like that if all goes well, and if the Nuggets, or if I don't know with the Nuggets if he's gonna be able to do it, but if he's able to win a championship, he's gonna be looked at as a top 20 player.
Yeah, I mean, he might have to do. His career path is like similar to LeBron's right now, a little bit, and like with the teams and stuff. Like he might have to go to another team to win a championship,
and then like come back and do it with Denver or something.
Well, I mean that, but I mean, like LeBron didn't get his first ring until he went to Miami when he was like whatever, like 28 or whatever.
Yeah, Steph didn't get his first ring until he was 29. I'm pretty sure. No,
Yeah,
that doesn't sound right.
It might
28. I think it was 28. 27. His age 27 season when he turned 28. Okay. So yeah, it doesn't happen immediately.
I just mean LeBron's path, and where like the Cleveland team sucked like horrible in his first stint in Cleveland, and then he moves to Miami, finally has a good team around him, and he wins championships. And that's really the only thing that's similar with Jokic.
You are right. That is, yeah. I hope he doesn't leave.
Yeah, I know. But it's like I just like him like so much that
he has to get a change. I don't like he thing is he's not gonna care. Like if he retires without a championship, I don't think that'll affect his life.
If he doesn't get a championship, that will affect my life.
Like it'll affect mine. Yeah, it'll affect ours. We will be in total distress.
Yeah,
but he won't care, which is why
perfect player who I think is the perfect player.
Yeah,
and
he just has that's just like he won't care, which is why I think he won't go ring chase and like leave to go do it. I think
he has to. Like there's like Chris Paul, like Steve Nash, Charles Barkley, and that's like it of like the ringless guys that are like legends. Like he's got to win a championship at some point.
I listen, when the Nuggets are healthy, they're in that conversation. It is just truly unfortunate that this might be the most talented era of basketball ever. And that's the Nuggets title window. So we'll have to see how it all turns out. But I think that's that'd be it. We will talk about the finals when they happen. Maybe I don't even know. Schedule wise, it's a little odd, but we'll see.
Thursday, so we can just do one like a week from now.
Okay. Yeah. We'll do another one on Sunday. Talk about first 2 games probably, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, Avs are in the conference finals. I don't know enough about hockey to talk about it, but they are in the conference finals.
I saw one thing where like McDavid might be the best player of, like, he's better than Jokic at basketball. He's better than Mahomes at football. He's better than Trout at baseball. I don't know about the Trout one, but
he might be like the best athlete among the top 4. Yeah, I've heard that is true. Like he is touted as like the second coming of Wayne Gretzky, essentially, which is ridiculous to think about. But no, he is truly that good. So that'll be interesting. I saw a lot of people saying that this is like, when you look at the top 4 talent wise, look at McDavid and Draisaitl for Edmonton and Makar and McKinnon for Colorado. This might be one of the most talented series of all time.
What was the first name you said?
McDavid and Draisaitl.
Draisaitl. Okay.
Leon Draisaitl. He's really good. I think he led the NHL in points this season.
Okay.
I think he's really, really good. He's the second best player on that team. Yeah. Hopefully Avs are able to win. They're the best shot at a title right now for Colorado. Well, who knows? The Mammoth made the lacrosse final. Yeah.
Wow.
See how that goes. Another Stan Kroenke-owned team right there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait for the 20-0 Broncos season though.
Yes, dude. I had a dream last night that it started. It's like my 3rd dream. The Broncos already.
I hate those dreams where it's like I mean I had a dream of Jokic winning the championship.
It's oh my god. I can't wait until it starts. I'm very excited to go to training camp to see how that happens.
Isn't it like 2 days or something?
Training camp?
Or when fans are allowed to go?
It's a couple weeks.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Let's see, maybe it was 2 weeks. I don't know. Okay.
It's a couple weeks where fans are allowed to go. I don't know if they might have changed it this year, but I know no, when I went, there was like a 2-week span.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when that happens, we will talk about the Broncos draft. We haven't done that yet, but we'll do that at some point. But it was almost like a month and a half ago, so we don't really remember a lot of it. But we'll get into it at some point. So it's gonna do it for us right now. Thanks all for watching. Like, subscribe, spread it around. Peace.